Woo! Amazing. It is already Q2 2023. Welcome to another episode here of Marketing Made Easy. My name is Joey Ragona. It is April 4th, 7 o'clock, 2023. You are where you are in the world, and happy to have you here along for the ride for today. We always talk about amazing things. Today, we're going to be talking about something that we haven't talked about in a long time, which is copy, but in terms of how it relates to your product and how it relates to even your dream clients. We're going to do a little bit of a spin on here, but we haven't talked a lot about copy in a long time, right, Scott? So I think today what we're going to do is go back to the roots and talk from our knowledge and expertise of copy in the last 40 years of studying it. So that's what I thought we would talk about today.
Awesome. I think it's a topic that you and I might know just a little something about.
I had to reboot my computer here, so I did have some notes up that I wanted to reference. Because we're going to be talking about the questions or some of the questions that we need to answer. And this is like, it's related to copy, but I think that it can travel over to even in marketing and what we talk about and everything that we've discussed over the last 3 years to attract dream clients, to go out there, to drop benefit breadcrumbs and all these things. And I think these questions are really going to help. So even if you are not interested in writing copy or anything like that, I think these are really great to know. So give me a second here so I can pull up my notes that I had
And
before I
Joey,
had to reboot.
while you're pulling up your notes, I want to reinforce what you just said, that even if you're not going to be a copywriter, and that's not what this is about, it's about just understanding the basic tenets of what copy's supposed to do to attract the dream client. It doesn't mean you have to be a copywriter. You don't have to be a copywriter to get some good words from your clients to put on your page or in your email. That's all we're talking about. And hi, Lorna.
Hey, good to see you, Lorna. Just want to say hi to Lorna. Good to see you. Okay, so I think I've got my notes here. All right, cool. So I think what we'll do is just kind of bounce around between some of the questions, and there are other highlights. Is what I did is I pulled up an old mind map like of ideas from a program that I did. I don't know how many years ago. I think it was that $17 program. Remember when we talked about that? It was like $17 to spend the whole day with me, and I thought it was like, is there anybody going to spend this? Or no, I
I
was worried to spend 90 or to charge $97 for the day. Crazy.
right. I have not brought that up, but as long as you brought it up, that when we were talking about imposter syndrome, I was going to go there, but I didn't. So I'll just bring it now, which is, yeah, again, Joey, your transparency, your vulnerability, your real honesty by saying, I did an all day workshop where I was afraid and I only charged $17. Talk about a shameful admission to anybody with the whole value proposition thing. And now it's like, yeah, you want a day with me? It's $7,000. It's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
it's 7 grand. You want it? Great. Not. And back then, only a few years ago, I was like, can I actually like get somebody to pay $17 to hang out with me? It's just, so thank you again, Joey, always for just being who you are. And I was talking to someone the other day and they're like, Joey's the only one that really I wanted to work with because I'd worked with so many coaches and they're all sleazy. And he was the only one that was truly authentic in who he
Oh,
was.
thank you.
And you from the moment that we met for whatever 5 years ago, nothing's ever changed. That's just who
Thank
you
you.
are. And again, you show up as who you are. You and I have talked about that all the time. It's like, okay, it's 7 o'clock. We're going. It's not like, well, in 30 minutes, I have to get ready and let me go do this and my makeup and my hair and the back. No, it's 7 o'clock. Crap, gotta go. And you show up and you be who you are. Another thing that I love is there's never any promises. And I know that because in my former life, I was a hypester. I get on the platform and I'd make all these promises. You're going to make all this money and you're rich. It's just get my stuff. Well, you actually had to read it, you had to apply it, and you had to do something about it. And the fact that you're like, look, I'm going to teach you a whole new way of being. I'm going to save your life. And it's going to take you at least 3, if not 6 months to just get the foundation built. But once you've got that atlas and academy and the concepts, because that's what you're about, Joey, is frameworks and concepts and processes, you just make life so much easier. And I just
Thank you.
want to put that out there, that no matter how far you get, you continue to go back to saying, I just didn't even think I could charge somebody $17 to hang out with me. So
Thank
take
you.
it away, Joey Ragona, wherever you were going.
I appreciate those kind words. And it's funny that you brought this up. It's kind of like we scripted this, which we never do. We might have a couple of cheat notes here and there, but we talked all about this on Academy today. The end of the Academy, the last 15 minutes, was all about showing up, and I was telling everybody about everything you just said. Like, I just learned. I learned something from a book, and all I want to do is just turn on the camera and share it, or call somebody up, or get on the chat, or whatever, and just share it. Not caring about my background. Is it the perfect background? Is it messy? Should I move the books because it's distracting? And all these things. We talked all about that, and I said, for those who that doesn't work for them, they're not my dream clients, and it's okay. My dream clients understand that all I'm about is just sharing knowledge, insight, guidance, supporting, and loving them. And that's what they buy, for me, at least for me. So I know that. And I think that as we talk about today's questions, as you're hearing us talk about these things or what we just said, think about it in your own world. Because you're not going to be Scott, you're not going to be me, you're going to be you. And I think that if we get out of the way of trying to be someone else, when I say that with a delicate brush of the canvas, because we some of us, at least for me, it was like, I'm not being everybody, I'm not being somebody else, but I truly wasn't being me. Like, there's a difference, right? There's a difference between totally stepping into like who you are, as opposed to, no, I'm not like that person, but I'm truly not me either. Would you agree with that statement?
Totally and
Not about
completely.
me,
And I
but in general.
Oh, in general, yeah. No, in general, I totally agree. There's not a lot of people who truly step in and own who they are. And I told you today I was reviewing Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, and it's about the zone of genius, and it's about being in that place. But more importantly, it's the responsibility, and it's what we've done without knowing we've done it, is
Yeah,
spiraling each other up. That when we get on here, our brains are so in that place, because neither one of us are saying, "What are you, crazy?"
right.
No, it's like, well, we are, but we're not. What we're doing is, it's like, this is an idea, and it's like, that's an idea, and this is an idea, and this and this and this and this. And from the get go, it's, where are we at? What are we doing? Let's be vulnerable. Let's be transparent. Let's share how we've messed up. Let's share how we've succeeded, and everything in between. And and what? Thanks, Meadow. What do we?
You got a
What
fan.
are we going through? Obviously, you've heard, years ago, it was like, yeah, everything's great, everything's great. And it's like, you know what? Things are pretty crappy. And I'm in the depths of darkness and despair with all these different things, but it's going to change in that. And I keep showing up. And in reading that, I think the more we do this and become honest in our emotions and our transparency and vulnerability, our dream clients, it's so much easier that we're creating that for them to come find us, because that's why they're finding us. It's
Yep,
not because you got
100%.
good stuff, and not because you got good prices. It's because I Joey's not a scumbag.
Yeah, it was, it's about like, I think that the world is just looking for leaders, and I never really looked at myself as a leader to a degree, but I know that that's what I've done in the last little while with Atlas. I realized that the last two times I've brought people through, and explaining, like actually answering their questions, but also explaining what is the underlying process of what Atlas is and all that. And then it just came up to me into my, I guess, conscious of, well, what people are really buying is your leadership. Just like I led you through Atlas, I'm like, wait a minute, this has a lot of depth here, and I need to explore this more, because that's what people are looking for. And everybody that transforms through, at least through my programs, I've seen this over the last 3 years, is it's not, well, I'm better on social media, or I'm better at copy, or I know my dream client better, or whatever. Those are cool things, but it's more of them stepping out into the world and realizing that by being themselves, the dream clients that are coming to them are basically saying, "Thank God you're saying this. Thank God you think this way, because I never believed there was someone else like me who thought this way, or who acted this way, or whatever." And they're looking for that leader. They're looking for that tribe. They're looking, because we all believe we're aliens, and we all believe no one else is thinking this. I'm so afraid to go out. And when you can do this, when you can lead with authority in a great way by being yourself, then there are others who are waiting for you. 100%. Lorna, dang, I have to I keep having a devil of a time keeping the video running. Hope not to miss anything. Oh, sorry. I hope that is not on my side. It very well could be. Hey, all,
Yeah,
I don't know who this is. Oh, you know what? Let me give the permission. Let me give the invite thing here.
So
Copy that.
Joey, while you're giving the invite,
There
permission
you
on
go.
StreamYard for those to show who they are. If you're watching this live on Facebook, give us hashtag live, hashtag replay. If you're watching on the replay, if you're in YouTube or Twitter or the Facebook or TikTok, Chit Chat, Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever you're listening to, give us some love, a thumb, a heart. It lets the ISPs and ESPs and all the algorithms and invisible gods of the ether world out there let them know that we're doing something, and
Mm-hmm.
that we're doing a good job, and that Joey is. And of course, Joey, if you would put the link to the group in here for anybody that's not in the group, then come join
Yeah.
us. A great place to hang out and learn from Joey. And while you're doing that, Joey, one more thing. You talked about leaders, and you are a leader. And in the Dale Carnegie organization, one of the things we did was leaders. The definition of a leader is leaders are willing to go to places that most people are afraid to, that won't. They're willing to go be the leader and get the arrows in their back. More importantly, leaders are willing to take people to places that they could not, would not go by themselves. And that's
Right.
why you're a leader, because you can take people there.
Thank you. Okay, so let's look at some of these questions here. So I'm just gonna pick and choose a couple of them. Some of them are very obvious, but I want you to reconsider if you're answering the questions. And again, we're not talking just about copy here. We're talking about, are you talking about this in your live streams? Are you talking about it in your posts or whatever? I guess that could be considered copy, but in your general conversations. One of the things is, the obvious one is like, what exactly does the product do for them? We understand that. But the deeper question is, why do they need the product? And I'm just going to use product as a general thing here, your program. Why do they need it, and why do they need it now? And I think that's a really important question, because this goes back to one of my 3 pillars, which is respect their timeline and understanding that they may not need it right now, but you don't give up on them. And this is what I find a lot of marketers do, is they give up on people. It's like, they want them to buy them right away. And so if your product, even though that question is important to still understand why do they need my product and why do they need it now, it's important to know that, but it's also important to marry that with the chain of beliefs, with the customer awareness levels, and their timeline. What do you think, Scott?
I think you needed to pile some more on there. I don't think we quite had enough, that we had to
Should get my
basically
iPad out and draw it out.
take the copy and make sure that it feeds in with the chain of beliefs and that the level of awareness. And it's really important because, again, Joey, when you said copy, I like where you went with it. It says copy is not just the words on paper. It's not just the words on a landing page or in an email. Copy is everything else. Copy is the words we're using to market and to let people know how they can benefit from knowing us. And so to me, anything is copy. If it's alive, it's copy. Why? What you said. Am I talking about the vulnerable emotional piece? I've been talking lately about what happened last year, 3 months ago, with some of the relationships I was involved in and how it sucked the life out of me and dealing with narcissists. And all of a sudden, what do you think is happening on some of my coaching consulting calls? Can we talk about some of that stuff you've been talking about? Rather than, well, how do I build this or how do I write the, it's like, can we talk about this thing? And now all of a sudden it's a different depth and level of helping. And if in everything we talk about, we integrate that copy, and it goes back to exactly what you said, Joey. Why do they need it? Why do they need it now? So if we said, okay, they need it because the transformation will help them do X, and they need it now because if they continue on doing it the way they're doing, they're going to be bankrupt. They're going to go back at work, and their lives going to be miserable. So that's why they need. Now, you're right. Pillar 3, respect their timeline. But what if we talked about that copy in everything we did, and that was the continuity of the message? And you've just framed that incredibly well. So you go.
Thank you. I'm just trying to set up my iPad quickly while you're talking here because I wanted to draw something out as an idea. But
Okay. Well, I think I might be able to keep talking about copy. I'm not sure.
well, what I wanted to see, what I'm trying to, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Is what I'd like to know is like the part where it's like, why do they need it now? I want to explain, I guess, my thought around that of why it's important to understand that, and like I want to hear your thought about it too, because there, we both know that there's a part where they're just not ready for the
Right.
product, right? And
Yep.
sorry, I'm just trying to do this at the same time. Pull up
Well,
my
what?
notability thing, and so I had a conversation this week with a person, which is, and they were asking about to come into academy, into an atlas and all that, and so the conversation went around, what are you doing, what's going on, and they were talking about scaling. Like, I have this thing and I've got this big vision and here it is. And you know me, when I hear that, it's like, okay, let me pull you back. Let me pull you down. So I love the vision, but here's where my superpower is. It's about simplifying. It's about taking you as a multiplier. And do you recognize your multiplier first? Yes, I do. Great. After I explained it. And then I'm envious of your vision because you have a great vision, but what you're doing is you're tripping over what's in front of you. And so the bottom line is, I won't get into all the details of that conversation because I could like all those pieces, but basically I said, you're not ready yet for this program. Maybe because of the mindset that you're in. Not that it's wrong. It's just that I understand where my superpower is, and this is what I wanted. That's why I wanted to bring up the iPad to explain a little bit more about my dream clients. We've talked about this before, but I think in a visual it would be better. But only for the context of everybody watching and listening to understand when not only if your product will fit, but when it fits. When it fits. Okay. So let me see if my iPad.
Got a couple of comments if you want
Yeah.
to do those. You want to share your thing first.
No, go ahead. Let's do the comments. So Melissa, hey, Melissa, good to see you. Willing to go and bring people along. I love it. And I'll let you read Meadows.
I had someone come back who had a session with me 3 years ago and say they're now ready to work together. Yep.
Love
Respect their time.
and
then
respect your
hashtag
timeline.
love it. That, Joey, I think is one of the toughest lessons of all the lessons. They're
It
all
is.
tough, especially with who comes into the world of here is I've been beaten up. I've spent a lot of money. I've had people tell me what to do and it doesn't work. And
Right.
now you're telling me to simplify and back off and be patient and do research and talk to people and do this thing the right way. And it's like,
Right.
well, what about I run ads to Facebook traffic? Am I ready to do that yet? No, you haven't even figured out if what you got works, if somebody actually needs it.
Yeah.
You ready with your iPad now, Joey?
I'm ready. So let me draw this out and explain to you, uh, or anybody listening here, is why I'm saying it's important to understand when your product fits. So if you are or you're not familiar with the sigmoid curve, this is what it is. It's basically a sideways S, and the sigmoid curve is how everything goes, like ups and downs, the ebbs and flows of business, and all this. And dream clients my dream clients, everybody actually starts here. Everybody starts here. And everybody who starts here, and we'll just use online businesses as the example, is gung ho. They're like, yippee, this is what I'm going to go do, right? What they don't realize is that they're already on their way down, right? They're already on their way down to the dip, right? To the dip, to the whatever, right? This is where the crash is, all that. So once I realized this was many, many, many years ago, that I realized that we're so excited about where we're starting. We think it's like this. We think we're going this way, but we're really not. And we're going to here. That's the first thing that I realized of who my dream clients are. So in this phase right here, right? They're still excited. They're very excited. And they're looking around and you know, they're looking at other people talking about things, and they're pulling down all these rabbit holes, and they're excited about the thing, but they still don't realize they're on their way down. And so I could speak to these people easily. I could speak to all of these people, and I'll just label them as beginners just for the context, right? And I can speak to these people, but because they're excited about all these things, and we all know this because we've all been beginners, and if you are a beginner, then this is the reality of it. There's nothing wrong with it. We all have to go through this, but most of the beginners or people in this area are pulled in all of these directions, right? Everybody's telling them what to do, and they have no idea. So they're listening to everybody, and everything sounds great. And then the crash happens. Right? And so I could speak to somebody in this area, which I do a lot of, and say, well, great, I could help you with Atlas, or I could help you connect with dream clients and all these other things and make a whole bunch of money and whatever, give your time back. And they're like, that sounds great. And then in the next 5 minutes, they'll be in a group, and somebody else will tell them something like, hey, you can run Facebook ads. And they're like, oh my God, that's fantastic, right? I don't have to do the slower thing that Joey's talking about or whatever. And so they go try all those things. And again, there's nothing wrong with it. So if I'm not judging anybody, but I'm just explaining like how I know my dream clients. So then they hit the dip, and most of them bail, right? I'm out. No more for me. But the dream clients for me are the people who are passionate, and they have a mission, and they're not ready to give up, not giving up, right? So now they need a mentor. Now they need someone who, I'm done with all this stuff. I don't want to deal with all this stuff. And now I need someone to pull me out of this hole. I'm stuck in this hole. I don't know how to get there, right? The depths of despair and all that stuff. And this is where my program comes in. This is where, when I speak to somebody on this level, okay, that is where I know where my product, why they need it now. That's where my why they need it now comes in. Okay? I could talk about why they need it now over here too, and I do talk about that, but they're like, yeah, that sounds great. I don't want to sacrifice my life. I don't want to, build a product that nobody buys and all that stuff. But guess what? They get pulled in all these directions. Does that make sense?
That makes total sense, Joey. And my question is, as you are presenting this magnificent thing of your chain of sigmoid beliefs continuum, all the things here of the levels of awareness and the chain of belief and the copy and the sigmoid curve, you got all of it going on in here. So great job. I think this is worthy of applause for those of you out there. If you would applaud loudly in whatever group you're in or whatever platform. When you talked about that left side, Joey, where they're excited and getting bombarded by everything, I sense that needs to be somewhere a name of a phase, of a stage, of a mindset they're in, because that's really important that you brought that out. because, like you said, and I like what you said there, Joey, was yeah, Joey said he's got this Atlas Academy thingy, and over the next 3 to 6 months, I'm going to build a business and I'm going to live a dream life with dream client. And then the other guy is like, well, run YouTube ads and you'll have, 70 billion people, and make sure you do the Facebook ads and drive them to a landing page with a funnel, a deadline sequence. And like, that's what I really want. So would you like, is there a name for this stage that they're in? Because I really think it's vital to know. You really put the chain of beliefs into the sigmoid curve wonderfully well here too, Joey.
Yeah, and a name. I think there's. I don't know if there is a name. I can't. It just doesn't come to me right now. What
Okay.
what it is, but it really is about the excitement phase. It's really about. I forget, for the lack of a better term, it is the excitement phase, and this is why everybody. Here's something that I didn't explain, but it's kind of obvious. Everybody thinks when they start the program, they think they're starting here, and they think they're going like this, but they're not. They're starting here. And I even thought this. I'm like, okay, we got excitement and everything's good, and then all of a sudden we kind of hit the dip. We're kind of like, it's not so good anymore. That's not true. We start here at the top, because over here, over here is not the starting of your business, online business. Over here is the starting of you saying, enough is enough. I want to do this. I'm going to start looking into this other thing, right? I don't want to work for somebody else anymore. This is the catalyst of you making a decision to start the thing up here. Does that make sense? So you buy Kajabi or whatever up here, whatever it is, that's the
Right.
point. Okay, and that's important. And then the other piece of this, what a messy drawing, but anyway, people following along. If they came in right now, they're going to be like, what is going on? But I mean, but think about this, Scott. Look at this. This line here, right, is your timeline. That's number 3, pillar number 3. Okay, and I guess this phase over here is serving, right? Pillar number
Yep.
2, serve, don't sell.
Yep. Yep.
And you're also gathering, you're also curating the tribe. But basically, you're waiting for them, respecting their timeline, which is here, to say, this is why you need my program right now. Because they hit here, and you're like, now I got you. Because you've been through all this, you can explain everything, at least in my case. I'm just saying in my case, I can explain, I explained so much to that person when I was on the call with him, and it was like I was reading his mind, and that's what he said. He goes, holy crap, you're exactly right. Because I even explained the whole dream life model, which is pretty simple. I go, here's what most people do. They build a product, then they build a product, and then they try to build a business and figure out what's the model look like, and what am I going to deliver, how's it going to look like, and then they try and find customers, and then they try and fit their life into it. And then I said to him, you're this person who's kind of in that product stage, because you're telling me how much you want to scale and how many people you want and what it looks like and all this stuff. It's fantastic. I love your vision. But dude, you haven't even got a product yet. And what makes you think you're going to go from this to that within 90 days, right? So,
Because that's
and
what the ad said.
well, it's what
And
people
I
sell.
At the ad I clicked on that said if I did this, that my bank statement, PayPal, Stripe thingy would have all this money coming in every day, and I could just drive my airplane all the time. So that's where it comes from, and it's unfortunate and sad that I thought maybe that would go away, but everything is like, 5 seconds on YouTube. I'm going to tell you in the next 30 seconds how I made $287,000 overnight without doing a damn thing. And it's like, oh, thank God I need to make $250,000 overnight and do absolutely nothing.
Right. So I'm going to throw
Anyway,
this back
Joe,
to you. Why does somebody need your product now? Does that
why did
open up any kind of thought process for you of how you would say why they need your product now?
Yeah, because they have reached the same place you're talking about. They have launched a course, a program, a product or service. They bought some stuff, whether it's Kajabi or Kartra or thingies. And they're in that. I think most people could look at your incredible artwork and decipher it to look at they're in the excited phase and they're doing the same thing. and they have built things. They've had people write copy. They've had people build landing pages. They've had people going to scale them and run ads and all that. Similar, they come to you. I kind of fix what's broken and shore it up. Where you teach them how to do it. So they're in the same place, and you know again, when they come, they have to be healers. They have to be heart centered. They have to be purpose driven. They have to be people that know what they're doing, established businesses. So I look at this, and for those that are looking at the diagram that haven't taken Hieroglyphics 101 and deciphered Joey, he's talked about the three pillars. And I just want to, one is curate the tribe, which for those that haven't tuned in a couple of weeks, Joey changed it from build to curate, which is genius. Two, serve, don't sell. And three, respect their timeline, which is kind of all in here. And to me, Joey, I look at this, and that's why I was asking you about the excited phase, is because the mindset and the emotions in there is where it goes to the chain of beliefs. That's where we're addressing in the beginning of the chain of beliefs that you taught me, is the empathy piece. And, how do I built this, I did this, I hired this, I did all this stuff already. Why should I listen to you?
Yeah, I mean, what just came to me now, I don't know if this is the right word, but it's also the honeymoon stage,
Yeah, that's a perfect word, Joey. That is.
right? So that's where it's like, oh, everything's good. Everything's fantastic. Right, until you go down and pay the bill for the for the wedding, right, or whatever.
Right.
Like, it's okay. It's not. This is reality. This is life. So that's what I'm saying. It's the excitement phase. It's the honeymoon phase. It's the you're just willing to take in everything, and everything is great. And there's nothing wrong with it. We all have to go through it. And then even when I was when I realized this for myself, when I first started coaching, I'll get a clearer picture of this. So let me draw it again. So when I first started coaching, and I realized that at this point, the crash was 90 days out for me. So people would come into my world, and I thought they were starting here, and I thought they would go, oh, this is great, Joey's great, and everything else. I'd want to do this, and then, I'm not really sure if I want to do this anymore, and bang. And so I kept it to myself, first of all, but I would also say, like, it's going to be a little bit of a tough ride. And I never really explained this to them. And a lot of my clients would fire me at 90 days. Dude, I'm not anywhere closer to where I am. And once I started explaining to them, like, okay, you're going to hire me, but you're not here. You're actually here. And tomorrow, or right now, the moment you start, you're actually on your way down. But you're not going to feel it. You're not going to feel it until you gather, the gravity starts pulling you down, and you're going to feel that gravity, about, halfway through, 1.5 months in, or 6 weeks in. And all of a sudden you're feeling, wait a minute, this is not the same as I felt up here at the top of the mountain, right? It's kind of like the roller coaster. Maybe that's an even one. The roller coaster. Where you start up here and you're like, this isn't so bad. And then you take the dip and like, oh my God, now my stomach is in the top of my head.
I'm loving the additional drawing. And you've heard me use the roller coaster analogy, and I like what you did here, Joey, in your segment curve there, chain of beliefs and awareness levels of pillars. And so when you get on the roller coaster, you're excited, and it's a as you go up each notch, and then you get to the top, and it's like, holy cow! And then as you're going down, all the stuff's going through. Maybe I shouldn't have done this, and this, and that, and that, and that. And I like the roller coaster because it is. And once it's gone over the top and they're moving down, that's when all the stuff's happening. And what would happen, Joey, and this is really important, what you bring forth always, and here is, you haven't said you're going to become a millionaire overnight, and I'm going to scale you and that. You're like,
No.
you know what? You're going to kind of probably take a dip here, and you're going to wake up and go, holy crap, because of all the crap that went on in the honeymoon and all the things that you now have to come to realize it's not what everybody promised there. Now
Yeah, I
here's the
mean,
reality.
I'll add to this one piece here, and then I want to move on to other things as well. To some questions here because I know some. I don't want to like so focus on me about what this is, but I think it's important for everybody to maybe apply this to their business. So, if we're looking at the analogy of this, and someone hits this here, and they're here and they're really sad, and they exit. They're like, I can't see anything. Like I'm in mud here. Where my dream clients kind of jump this little piece over here and they're over here like this. They got to smile because they're looking up. They can see the top of the mountain. They can also look backwards and see all the crap. But these people over here, they've given up. They're like, I don't even see this thing over here. So this is what I'm explaining to you guys, even though I'm using myself as the example, is where is it that your product enters them and why do they need it now? So if I spoke to, again, back to this drawing, if I spoke to this person over here and told them why they need it now, they're going to say, you're full of crap. I've already tried all that stuff. It doesn't work because they're not the dream client and they're not there and they don't have the mission or whatever it is. And they're not willing to open their eyes. Yeah, they're just not the right person or they've gone, they've already exited. So it doesn't matter to me like how much I tell them, you need this, you need this, you need this. It's only when they come over here and they're actually looking, right? Oh, go figure. Are they looking for us? That I can speak to them on the level of what we're talking about here. Here's why you need my product, or Atlas in this case, and here's why you need it now. So just understanding the depth of where your dream customer is on their awareness level, their level of belief, which we'll talk about now. Let's look at the levels of belief. Another question, which is to buy the product, they need to believe this. What is the thing that they need to believe? And the other one is, what do they believe now that actually interferes with my offer, with my product? And for me, and that comes back to the chain of beliefs, if you really want to talk about it, because what they believe now that interferes with what I'm talking about is funnels, is ads, is sales pages, is like all that stuff interferes with me saying, no, I can get you to the dream oasis. So that's part of the chain of beliefs. But I have to understand, what do they believe right now that interferes with what I'm talking about? So that's another question. Anything for you that comes up, Scott? And by the way, if you're watching, let us know, hashtag live, hashtag replay in the chat. And also, what comes up for you? What comes up for you that your clients need to believe in order to buy? And secondly, what do they believe now that gets in the way of that?
Joey, would you bring back up your diagram, please?
I will. And then, okay, right here. Which one? This one?
One, yeah, right here. And I just want to point out a thought that I had while I was watching you do this was because of where you're at and because you live what you say you're doing and because you focus and you do the same thing and you build Atlas and that, and you just 10,000 hour outliers, you just keep getting better and better, that watching you do what you just did with those incredible caricatures of real life people there, where, you know, they crashed and they're like, I'm out of here, I'm done, I ain't going to do this, as opposed to the ones that are on the other side smiling and going, this is the way out, that you've been able to identify it from, full circle back, the copy that you're using to talk about that. For the dream client at that point to say, chain of beliefs right here with where you've taken them, I do believe that this is what I need to be doing. And I do need a coach and I do need a mentor. I don't need all of that other crap. I don't believe, whereas the others are jumping ship, going back to all that crap. So that was just what you had to say about that. I just wanted to point that out to people, that the longer you stay in understanding your dream client and learning their words, that becomes your copy in what you're talking about, then the easier your life becomes. And then you said, to buy, they need to believe this. And what do they believe now that interferes with what I'm talking about? So those two that you just introduced, uh, and I would love to hear from someone, others here, what is theirs? Where are they at? Wow. Okay, some comments. Would you like to read that, or would you like me to read that?
You can read it.
Jeffrey, hi, good to see you. Do you think that a number of your clients are saying they want to be coaches, but they really do not understand that coaching or mentoring is helping, inspiring, and getting the client in doing what they really do not want to do? That's work, discipline, and follow through. And you know it's what they need to do so they can get to where they want to be. Then the money will follow.
Do you want to answer that first? Because I think he's asking both of us.
Um, So I just want to make sure that a number of your clients are saying they want to be coaches, but they really don't understand what coaching and mentoring is helping, inspiring, and um, you take it first, Joey. I'm still playing with it. So
Okay. I think if I'm answering the question, then there's a lot of levels here in this question, Jeffrey, because I do deal with a lot of coaches and practitioners, and it's not that they, I would say that they don't. It's not that they don't understand what coaching or mentoring is, and but a lot of them don't know that either. But I'm not sure how it's relating, or the question is relating to what we're saying here in terms of why they need it now, or is this just a general question? Because when people come to me, and I'm just trying to guess of how to answer the question because there's a couple of different ways I can answer this. The reason people come to me is because, like Scott says, I'm saving them from the stuff they've already been through. And because they have a mission, they no longer want to suffer. And I'm able to help them not suffer, which means they have to do things that they don't want to do, but they're in a better position to do those things or to step into those things, to say, this is uncomfortable for me, but because, this is a great way to bring this back now, because of, where am I here? Where's the stuff here? Yeah, because of all this, because of all the, let me get another color here. This is like a total mess now. Because of all of this, right, that they've been through, I can reference it, which is exactly what I did with that other person. I said, here's what happens. And they're already going through that. And they're like, yeah, you're exactly right. Whereas before in this honeymoon phase, I could be telling people, look, this is what's going to happen. And a lot of people that I deal with go through this stuff, and I don't want this to happen to you. So you should buy Atlas. You should come and work with me before all this stuff happens. And they're like, yeah, that's fantastic. I agree with what you're saying. But then they get pulled in another direction, rabbit holes, because that's what the excitement phase is all about. Like, everybody sounds like they have the solution. And I'm not dissing anybody out there, because we all go through it. I went through it and everything else. So I just understand that. And so they're definitely not going to want to do the thing that they don't want to do here. What? I got to have communications. I got to build relationships. It's going to take me longer than 90 days to make money. All that kind of stuff. You're telling me, you're not guaranteeing anything. That doesn't sound like a plan for me.
yeah,
So,
Joey, let me take a jump at this now, okay?
yeah.
So now that I'm reading it, listening to you and not hearing what you're saying, that's besides the point. I never do anyway. I believe that yes, a number of clients say they want to be coaches to go out and teach something or to do a thing, maybe not understanding that when you coach, mentor, guide, inspire, that it's really about just the beingness of it and the intuition that you and I have and that others have in really taking them where they need to go rather than a prescribed path. That's just how I'm, and it is work, discipline, and follow through. But I believe that when you're transforming, helping, and serving people, and that's what you do. If you go into the serve, mode. And that's what we do. Then we don't have to, the selling comes in when we're trying to teach them or change them rather than giving them space to transform. So that's just kind of like my take on that, Joey. So go.
Jeffrey, do you want to reframe the question? Maybe we're answering it wrong because the only word that trips me up in this question is your clients. Because is it about my clients or is it a general question in terms of like
Right.
your clients? Like you know what I mean? So maybe reframe the question because if we haven't answered it, I want to make sure that we're answering it in the right way.
Joey, if we were to read down the comments, there's some really cool names joining us tonight. Melissa and Meadow and Lorna and Jeffrey. And now we have Laboratorio del Poeta. I have no idea if I pronounced that right. And I hope I
Good
didn't
try.
it up. Uh,
I wouldn't have attempted that. Meadow, you're in the same boat as everybody in my world. So first of all, don't beat up on yourself if it's hard to figure out. The only reason that I figured this out is years and years and years of struggling myself and not listening to my mentors. So now I can come at this at another level and explain it in different ways. So it won't take you years and years and years, but it's not an overnight thing either. So the only way, and I know you're asking this other question, which is brilliant. Where is it here? That wasn't the one. You asked another question. Here it is. How do we figure out where they need to be? Well, the answer is you need to have discussions with them and conversations and listen to them. All of this has to do with detective work. And this is the stuff that nobody really wants to do. Not saying you, just saying in general that the world and the online world is like, I don't want to do research. And I use research very, very, in a way that it's not like drill sergeant, go fill this thing out. Let me ask him. Not that way. Like research to me is just having a detective hat on and being curious all the time and stepping out of our ego to say, I already know all this stuff. Like, what am I need to listen to this for? How many times am I going to say this kind of stuff? And again, I'm not pointing any fingers. I'm just saying that this is why it's so important to listen to the market with like a completely beginner mindset, as hard as that is for all of us because we're experts. But like just listening as a detective, what clue can I pick up from this conversation or from all of these questions or whatever going on? That's how you figure out where they need to be. And so for me, Meadow, I always reference that whole banker's box of clarity calls, of 3 years of clarity calls that went nowhere for a reason, because it was, wait a minute, these, no matter what I say, no matter how much they like me, no matter how the conversation goes, they're not ready. They're looking for the magic pill. And they're great humans, but they're just not ready because 3 years of a complete full banker's box of clarity calls is a lot of time that went nowhere, even though I did have the solution for the person and they were not they were dream clients in training. Some of them were dream clients in training, and that means that they're in training, they're not ready to go into battle yet.
So, Joey, couple of things here, if I may. First
Definitely.
off, apparently my attempt at pronouncing the name was not even, it's Lisandro. That's who it actually is. So thank you. I get to practice my different names from different countries in the world. And it's so cool that we are a world now, that it's not just that. But getting back to, uh, yeah, I have no clue what I'm getting back to, Joey. But it has, here's what it is, Joey.
Good.
And this is for Meadow, okay? When you first started developing all this stuff, and I've been blessed to be a fly on the wall throughout this and establishing and building all this. I kind of knew all about it because we've talked about it for years before you even started at Atlas. And we talked about the concept. And Meadow, I've heard it more than anybody. And Joey
Yeah,
and
it's
I
true.
spent hundreds of hours on stuff and going through everything to get to. And I took Atlas religiously, studiously, and attacked it. It took me almost 9 weeks, Meadow, to figure out some things around the dream client. So I'm just saying that be gentle that you haven't figured it out on the first whatever. After years of hearing it, it still took me almost 3 months to figure out some important pieces. I kept coming back and I couldn't fill it out. And it
Yeah.
was the whole dream client, everything. So anyway, go.
These are the reasons why I want to bring up some of these questions that you would want to just to again, like, trigger your detective, your little detective in your head. It's not like an exercise where you write the question and then tomorrow you have the answer. And I think that some of us may want that. Some of us, like, this is what's the I'm doing this, but I don't get it, but what's the next step? And a lot of the stuff that in my world is a constant living, breathing document. It's a living, breathing thing. It's never finished. So I'm always looking for new answers or new insights into these questions, which is why are they looking for, what are they looking for truly? So if somebody at that point, Meadow, in my world, came to me and said, I need help building my online business, and they're already at that crash, I showed you the picture and all that, then I'm looking for, like, what is it that you're looking to do? Like, those questions I'm looking for is, do they understand what the top of the mountain is for them? And if the top of the mountain, like, back to where's the picture here? So explaining it here.
Joey, real quick, while you're going back to the picture to explain it, for anybody that's just joining us I just want to catch it up real quick. In the questions, we started out with copy and how do we put this into what we're doing? And the question was, why do they need it and why now? So, we're talking about how do you pepper that into all of your copy and how does it relate to your product? And you went in the chain of beliefs. And the other two were to buy, they need to believe what? What is it that they need to believe? And then what do they believe now that interferes with what you're talking about? So I just wanted to catch up those real quick and put context in here because you're talking about all the stages that they're at here, Joey, and how this applies to it, where we need to get that language, that vernacular with our research, with our conversations. It's all I do these days, Joey, and you kind of forced me back into that or into it, is I just have conversations and I ask questions and I'm constantly in dialogue with people, just learning and learning constantly because I
Right.
don't have a clue by myself. It looks like you're ready.
I'm just kind of jotting some stuff down as you're talking to explain, because Melissa brought up a really good comment here that maybe will all help everybody here. So uh,
So Melissa says, I'm in a business that has a huge learning curve.
what am I
And
missing
I'm
here? And my brain just had I'm missing something here.
solution aware.
Oh, that's right. There we go. Okay.
No worries. I've seen this once or twice.
Oops.
Hey, I want a star for that, and I want 100 extra points for those keeping track at home. I have a million points now, and the
Solution.
points just don't really matter. So, yeah,
Product
I'm good.
aware.
They are looking for the magic pill and clarity calls. I know you said that, but I like that. And Jeffrey said, you both did a good job in answering my question. What
Okay.
he
Cool.
really, he said, what I should have said was working with clients instead of your clients. So I think
Got
we
it.
kind of both answer it that it was the collective your,
Yeah.
not Joey's. You ready, Joey?
Yeah, so I want to kind of answer. This is going into a whole different type of discussion here, but I love this. I love the way that we just adapt to what's going on here, because I think this is important. Is Thank you for asking this question, Melissa, and this will help everybody. Is you just said that your business is you're in a business that has a huge learning curve, and I think that if I would guess, I think that everybody's business is basically the same when it comes to this, the sigmoid curve, first of all, right? So let me get a really cool color here. They're all the same. And this is, dang it. Go back to that color. Why didn't it work? There we go. This here is the huge learning curve. This is the area. This is where people are in a huge learning curve. Now, you have to choose, Melissa, and everybody listening, is do you want to market to these people? Because they're in a problem aware stage. And there's nothing wrong with it, because this is where most marketers talk to. Like, okay, you have this problem and I can fix it. And then what happens is they sell the problem, or they sell a solution, but guess where they are, right? We looked at from a couple of minutes ago. Where are they? They're at the top of the curve. They're at the top. And they're like, this is amazing. I'm going to do this. And then the problem, because they're still learning and all this kind of stuff, they're on their way down. And like, that didn't work, or they're not committed, or they don't know their dream client, or whatever, and they crash. Right? So to me, this is me personally, and I don't know what Scott's going to say. I'm sure he's going to chime in, and anybody else chime in. Like, to me, this is a hard market to talk to because of that. Because I know that they're here, okay? I know they're here, and they're going to crash. Most people. So I'm talking to these people who've already crashed, who are now in, I want a better solution. Or I've already tried these other products, and I'm looking for a new product, which is Joey's Atlas, in my case. That should say Atlas.
For those of you keeping track, this is kind of like the last 24% of the chain of belief.
Right? So, and this area here, right, is like when I talk about the sweet spot here, of like when I talk about the levels of awareness. I say the best people are the people between solution and product aware, in my opinion. And in my experience, this is the best people because they've already been through all these other stages, and they've already been through the huge learning curve. And so these are the easiest people to talk to. Does that help? And any thoughts you want to add in there, Scott?
Yeah,
go back to the comments here.
Yeah, it's related in a way. I know one of the questions that you ask when you're pre-qualifying somebody is designed to figure out where they are here. And have you hired a coach before? Have you done this before? What kind of things have you tried before? Oh, I've tried this and this and this and this and this and this, and I've spent all this money in that. You're like, okay, now you're ready, as opposed to, well, this is my first time and I'm looking at options. So the,
right.
the difference in the two, the generic problem aware, because people are going to go, well, aren't we supposed to find their problem? We need to find, like you say, Joey, they need to be at that bottom of that in the crisis. And like, crap, I got to get out of this.
Yeah, that's right. So that's another good one, right? So they're in the crisis right over here.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we're building the bridge, right?
Yep.
Or in this case, we're giving them the gear to climb the mountain.
To get to gear,
right? To get to the oasis.
Yay! Ding, 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 ding. 100 points for Joey.
Yeah, right. It's so cool. I love watching people. Anyway, forget it. Forget it. Yeah. So, I mean, to me, those are the easiest ways to figure out like what do people really want is, or where. Who to speak to. You know, you can still talk to the learning curve, in my opinion, Melissa. But if you're pulling teeth and it's really hard for you to get them to do things and all these things, that's why dream clients are so important. And this discussion has turned into something I didn't really, but it's so cool. But it's like those dream clients who are already down at that dip level. They've already went through the huge learning curve. They're just not getting the solution, and they can't climb the mountain, or they're tired. They already look at the mountain and go, I'm not going to do that again. Because they think, remember, at the beginning of the curve that they already climbed, but they didn't. But you're not going to explain that to them. You and I both know, secret here, but that's what they've really done. They've fallen, but they're looking at things, I'm not ready to climb this again. I need a guide. And that is our job. That's what I believe our job is. See, I know where the resting spots are. I know where the cliffs are. Whatever it is, I need a better analogy for the mountain thingies, or what are they? What are they called? The milestones of the mountain, Scott. Not the Serpa. But what are they called? The piece, the on the way up. Somebody knows this in the
I
chat.
think I think it's the precipice, isn't each one?
No, I don't think so. Like they're resting spots along the way. What are they called? Anyway, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Like 20 feet up is this way. And okay, here's the landing. We're gonna sit here for a little bit and whatever.
I think that we went over this before. Anyway, Melissa's got a couple of really powerful. Go before that because she said, "Wow, it hits home," and then
Yes.
yes, it helped, and then she went into that.
Oh wait,
Go.
so can you explain the training and not ready for battle? Okay, cool. That's a really good question too. You want to attempt that one, Scott?
Well, the rest step is a fundamental technique for any mountain serum pursuit. You rest for a split second. It doesn't say where. Okay, no, you take that one because I'm not quite sure if she's referring to something you talked about or what that is. Not ready to go
Um,
into.
yeah. So it's just a reference, the Melissa, that they're they're in the learning phase, or they're trying different little things. They don't have the right training. They can't go into the battlefield, because as soon as they do go into battle, and I'm using battle, and I shouldn't be using these words because I'm not really I don't really won't really use warfare stuff in here, but it's like when they go out into the world and try to sell their product, whatever it is, they aren't ready for it, and the market rejects it, or they don't sell. That's basically what it means, because they're still in training. They're not ready yet to do it, and so they get rejected. They don't sell, and they get disappointed. That's basically what it means. Yeah, kind of camps. It's kind of camps, but that's where you camp out. Yeah, like you're on the way up and you camp out. You're not going to go all the way to the top of the mountain in like one day or 1 hour. So that's basically what it is. But
It's
thank you for
base
that.
camp. It's base
Yeah,
camp or whatever camp. Yeah,
yeah,
she's right. So, again, training and not ready to go into battle, I equate it to people that are going out and trying to find dream clients. You're in training. You don't go find them. You have to learn how to let them come find you. And that's why I think when people too early go out in the training phase of learning dream client, to go try and find them and attract and market to them instead of attracting them, that to me is battle. But again, battle is rough. So that's kind of what I take from it. So now you have Melissa. Melissa's awful engaged tonight. Everybody is tonight.
love it. So I've never had a mentor, and I have taught the learning curve over 400 people in 18 months, all in one. I'm tired. Okay. I've never had a mentor, and I've taught the learning curve. So if that's cool, but the end of it is not cool because you're tired of doing that, then is there a place after the learning curve where you can come in? And to me, that's like a dream business, because in my mind, like if I was in the same business as you, Melissa, here's what I would say, what I do say is, like, let everybody else deal with with all the learning curve stuff, and then I'll wait until the right dream client for me, like I showed you the curve already, shows up to say, I'm ready, because you're doing all the teaching for me and eliminating the people who aren't ready for me because you're in the learning curve of teaching. And then the people who don't make it through, and I'm not picking on you, I'm just using it as an example. They don't do or to get the result, and now they're at the bottom of the curve for me. And I'm saying, don't worry, I'll help, but I don't have to teach all the other stuff. It's already been done for me. So a lot of times I've said it here on this show is, let the market, like, do all the teaching for you, and then you pick up the dream client who's already bought the shoes. They know how to run. They've done the training. They've done the stretching, and they've already heard the starter pistol, and they're in the train. They're already running, and you just pull them along.
Just hand off the baton. That's it.
Yeah,
Boom.
just here you go. It's all good.
No, the baton gets handed off.
Dream business. So let's go back
Yes.
to now a couple of questions here. So what is the most important benefit? What and I know these are obvious, but what is the most important benefit? And it's not money. So if you're thinking that they can make a whole bunch of money, that's probably not it. What is the most important benefit for your clients? And a lot of it has to do with what we were just talking about. The benefit is, for you, like whatever it is for you. Like for me, it's about getting them out of the hole. It's about giving them back their time, right? It's saving their entire life, is pulling them out. That's the benefit of Atlas or whatever I do. I don't talk about marketing. I talk about it, but I don't sell that. I sell this is what the benefit of doing this work with me is. So that's what you need to understand is what is the benefit of the product. Anything you want to add there, Scott, or before I go on to another question here?
No, you're good. Benefits is benefits, and you've got it. Go.
Most important. Okay, so the other one here that I struggled with before, but I think now it's really important, is what technologies does the product compete against? What technologies does your product compete against? So today, it's so much easier to answer that question, right? Where am I going with this, Scott?
Funnels, automation, ChatGPT,
Yeah,
not
it's
human there.
automation. It's like the AI. So I've
Yeah.
always been against not against technologies. It's just competing against the technologies because everybody who comes into my world is, I don't want to do the tech. I don't want to build all these things out. I'm like, don't worry about it. No tech whatsoever. And now it's about even the added layer is, well, all this AI stuff. All these other people are selling all this AI stuff and thinking, and I tried that because that's what's going to start to happen. I tried that AI program and I still couldn't sell my stuff. It wrote my copy page, but I still couldn't sell a thing. And that's what I'm competing against, right? And then, so today I was discussing on one of the platforms about this very quickly, and they said like, what about like they're saying something about like an AI, whatever. And they said, but it's inevitable. Like conversations are very, very difficult to to do that. And I gave a huge thumbs down. I go, that's where you're totally wrong. The opportunity because of what's happening is allowing us for more human communication, and that is going to position us even better because the world will crave human communication even more. So if you think human conversations are hard now, I can't even think about what you're going to think in 3 months from now because you're in that mindset. And that's totally cool because that's what my stuff competes against is all those people who are just like, well, it's inevitable. We need to put in these Autobots to go do all the conversations for us. Well, if that's what you think. And so my stuff competes against that. What is your stuff? What is your stuff? AI is artificial intelligence, Melissa.
Well,
Robots.
just I'm just I put a post today, Joey, and somebody sent me their screen, and it said it was from ChatGPT, and it said, "Oops, our systems are a bit busy at the moment.
Yeah.
Please take a break and try again soon," which happens.
Yeah.
So my post was, "Dear boss, I'm unable to write copy today as my assistant is unavailable.
Yeah.
So I can't do my job because I can't talk to anyone. Don't you wish you actually wrote copy yourself?" So that's all I have to say about that.
Well,
Go on.
what does your product or service compete against, Scott? Any thoughts there? And anybody else,
Oh,
I'd love to hear from your thoughts too in the chat.
oh gosh. Mine competes against throttle marketing. Mine competes against complicated. I know it sounds,
Technologies.
yeah, just mine goes against bright, shiny objects,
That's not a
basically.
technology. That's mindset.
Yeah,
So
technology is
what's the technology that it competes against? Is there a technology?
it funnels, AI. The technology for me right now is bots and AI trying
So it's
to
the same thing.
do. Yeah, it's the same thing right now.
Yeah.
If
So
we're talking technology,
yeah, it's the tech that it goes against or competes against. What is it, and how can your
well,
product be better?
it's all okay. So not only is it AI, but from a technology standpoint, it's all of the platforms and the software and all of the technology tools you're told you need it. Well, it's not working because you don't have this thing. Oh, I better get that thing. It's not working because you don't have the bot. Okay, I got to get that. All the things technology wise, all of it that says you need all these things, as opposed to let's figure out how to connect with human beings and solve their problems and help them. And then let's see how some of this tech might help us do it better.
Yeah.
So,
Here's another product or question, which is the reliability. So this is a big one. How reliable is your product? And again, I'm using product as a general sense. So if you just
right.
watch, you're just tuning in, program, membership, whatever. How reliable is it? And to me, this question comes, and how long is it going to last? So this is a big question because is it just this one and done thing? Is like, oh yeah, this is great, and in 3 months it's over, and it doesn't mean anything because the technology changed or something like that. But for me, it's like, what? How can I solve a problem that is a constant problem? And if you can, because I know it's not going to be easy for everybody to do, but I know that at least for me, the product is completely reliable. But it's not just the product itself; it's me. And I think that personally, I think that I have to be part of the conversation of the reliability because of my dream clients. And this is again coming back to understanding what exactly do they need? Why do they need it now? What are all the stuff that I'm competing against? Part of those things is the reliability of my coach, the dude I bought from, showing up and being here with me. For you, Scott, any thought? What about you? How reliable is your product, and how long will it last, and why will it last?
I am the product as well. And what I build and help people build are systems that will last forever. It's building them real things, not based on garbage, but once it's built, you get to use it over and over again to help your dream client succeed with what you're doing. I'm using technology in a way to connect human beings at the easiest level possible with just using the basics. And again, I will kudos to you that put together a Google Doc. And if they're interested, yeah, and then let them give you some money. That's it. That's the conversation. It's not, well, you need to build a thing that they opt into that goes here and does an autoresponder, takes to the checkout page. You get that's too, it's uncomplicating them at one level first. Then there's so many other things that have been built. There's a lot of people, Joey, that have built so much stuff and just put it out there based on everything. I don't know. So it's rebuild, shore up the product, then go out. Find, again, go to your dream clients, figure out your chain of beliefs, then go out to the world. So yeah, it's reliable because once it's built, it works and it keeps on working.
Can you prove that?
Yes.
How?
Oh yeah. Stats, numbers, KPIs, proof, launches, funnels, products. I know I don't use the word funnels. Here, copy, sales letters, emails, responses, numbers, statistics, still here, still working, still doing this, mine, clients. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the first thing that's going to come to mind is like if you say to me, build it once and it'll last forever, the BS
Yeah.
meter goes up for me. Like,
Right.
oh,
Forget it.
okay,
Yeah.
right. So the way that I sell reliability forever, let's say, is I'm always referencing the fundamentals of business, which is relationships, and that
Right.
has never gone away, and it will never go away. And we can't predict the future, obviously, but we can go back a billion years and say, well, this is how it was done. So I think that over a billion years and nothing's changed, when the fundamentals come back to relationships, then people can maybe see that, and then you can see, well, that's probably right. That it's probably not going to change. Relationships are going to be most important. So it's on that level of not about the pieces of the technology. It's more about the fundamentals. That's how at least for me, I sell the reliability of it. And then for me personally, of like explaining my life and here's why you're getting me as part of this. And again, this goes back to like, why is it different than everybody else? Because that's another piece of your competitors that you have to look at. And then speaking to everybody here is what do the competitors do, and what can you do to make it differently? And I think the people don't like to hear the word unscale. But that's really what this is about at the beginning. Do the
Yeah,
unscalable, the stuff that you can't scale. That's why when the word scale comes up in a conversation, I get the willies. Like, well, hold on a minute. Tell me more about your process. Tell me more about what's going on. And usually those are people who are amazing humans, have visions, and they have a lot of great things, but they haven't got a process that's working yet. But they
right.
want to scale. And that's just part of the excitability piece. So you have to give them a break. And our job, I think, is to pull them into the reality and say, well, great, let's build that to get to the vision piece, right?
Agreed, totally.
Melissa says, mine competes against all other marketing, and my business is good old cold calling to gain shippers as a freight broker. Okay. No one wants to have conversations, just hide behind a DM and write mass emails and not have human to human connections. Okay. Everyone is trying to teach sales in my industry using cold email that is not personable. Fantastic. So you're doing the opposite of them,
I
right?
think that's excellent. Exactly, Joey. I love this one because that's great that everybody's doing it that way. She gets to look over Joey's left shoulder, do different, and become the one that. And if you only want to DM and email, then go stand in that line because that's not the line for Melissa. Melissa's line is, you stand in my line. I'm going to talk to you. We're going to have a conversation, and I'm going to help you. That's
Mm-hmm.
I love.
Amazing. Congratulations on that. Easiest level. She says it's the easiest level for her. That's fantastic. So here's another question that kind of relates to the buying, which is the reason they won't buy. And I think we talked about this with the sigmoid curve already. But the reason they won't buy my product is why? The reason they won't buy my product is, and why won't they buy it? Because we have to understand that people are just not ready to buy, and there's people who just won't buy the product. So what is that? Understanding why won't people buy your product is an important thing. Let me
They
look at another
don't.
one.
Well, one of them, Joey, goes to pillar number 3. Respect their timeline. They're not ready.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think that's a perfect analogy of like where that goes, because you and I, as we've written copy for that things that aren't working, it's like, well, can you write me better copy to convert? Can you write me better hooks and all that kind of stuff, headlines and everything else, because they want the thing to sell, obviously, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's like, well, maybe the market isn't ready to buy from you right now.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
you don't know that, or you don't understand that, or can you explain to me why they wouldn't buy? They don't understand that. It's hard for us to market that, to reword something. It's not going to automatically change something with magic copy.
No, it goes back to the right to the beginning, Joey. Why do they need it, and why do they need it
Why
now?
do they need it now?
I totally 100%. When I go look at someone and like, I need your help, rewrite the copy and the landing page, and nothing's working. I'm like, okay, let's go look at the thing to start with, and who is the dream client? What problem does it solve? Do they know it's going to solve it? Do they know that they have this problem that it's severe enough that your thing can do it? Great. But most of them is like, well, no. It's kind of like one person was like, I got to teach people how to do this thing. I was like, do they care about this thing? He says, but they need to care about this thing because I know how important it is. It's like, but that's not important to them. And by figuring that out, why do they need it, and putting it in what we talk about, then they're like, okay, I'm not buying from you. I'll use an example. I clicked on a video last week and it was all about planks and abs and core. And it was like, message me. They took me right to an offer page. They just skipped everything that we talk about, went right to the offer page. I had no clue what it was that I was going to get for the money they wanted. I would have paid the money for the thing if I knew exactly, instead of getting the thing and then trying to figure out if it was worth it. And So for me, that's why most people don't buy is they don't know what the benefit, the transformation, what they're going to get from it. That's crystal clear. That says it's a value proposition that I can't refuse. I need this thing because it's going to help me do this thing. So there you go.
Yeah, and I think that you also triggered on another piece of why what you need to understand about the buyer or your market is what motivates them. And a
Right.
lot of times, the motivation is like bonus stuff, and it's worth this much because of all the bonuses. And again, I'm not talking that you should never do these things, whatever, but that's where most people they just gravitate to that. Let me just add in all these other things because they're not doing the deeper work of understanding the stuff we're talking about here. What truly motivates them? What truly motivates my dream clients are not bonuses. It's not more time, more weeks. It's not like, and then, like you said, they're buying from a Google Doc. They've been buying from a Google Doc for 3 years straight. I don't need to get on a clarity call because it's high ticket. I mean, that's a myth. I even thought that was true. Well, if it's
Yeah.
over 2,000, I got to get on a call to sell it. That's
Yeah.
BS.
No.
It's because the Google Doc explains all the stuff we're talking about here that's motivating them, speaking to them on that crash level. It's like, I know exactly where you are. Whenever you're ready, this is the reason why I can help you because, yeah, the money's great and you want to sell your stuff, but there's way more things that are important, which is they've already experienced in that declining phase.
And Joey, you also too know your dream client so well that when you put forth in a document 3, 4, $5,000, that they're like, okay, I know from all of the research that these people have spent all this money. They have it. They're willing to, if it's truly going to be the thing that's going to help them. I mean, the other day I was playing with something, and there's 2,755 billionaires on the planet, and there's 56 million millionaires on the planet. 42% of them are in North America. So there's an awful lot of people out there. I'm not saying that they're your dream clients, but 56 million millionaires. There's some dream clients in there, and it's like, oh yeah, I need that. Boom, that silk outfit, $5,000, sure. Those boots, $8,000, sure. Oh, that program, $5,000, sure. That, and I challenged someone. I said it's like a tank of gas, and they're like, not last time I filled up. And I said, you're thinking the wrong tank of gas. I was referring to Learjets and yachts. What it costs to fill up a tank of gas for them to fly to dinner and back. So again, just in perspective here, not saying that we always have to go after it, but again, when we truly know our dream clients, and that's not the issue here at the end of the day. And that's
Yeah.
why you Google Doc. Again, the last thing, years ago, before we had this internet thingy, the best marketers wrote 20-page sales letters and sold you a box of stuff for $5,000 and you bought it.
Yeah,
Anyway,
because of the thud factor. That used to be the huge thing. Like bang, the louder this thing hits my desk, the thud factor, that was huge. But
right.
and those that's still true to a degree, the thud factor, the digital thud factor, which is the beginning market.
Is
Whereas
that
when
a
you move into the premium dream clients, they don't want stuff. They want
no?
result. They want, and so you could argue that the beginning market wants result too, but they're motivated by lots of stuff, whereas
Yeah.
the dream clients are not motivated by stuff. Like so, if and if you look at the analogy of again the running of the race, if you're talking to the dream client and they're inches away from the finish line, and you can say, look, let me share a couple of videos with you to show you how to get across the finish line, as opposed to let me just reach out and pull you across the finish line. Which one do you think they're going to, opt into? Right?
Yeah.
They don't want more videos. They don't want
No.
more knowledge.
No.
They
No.
just can you just
Pick
pull
me.
me over?
No. Don't pull me over. Pick me up and carry me over,
Yeah,
please, and
it's like
gently on the other side. By the way, is digital thud factor a thing, Joey?
no, it is now
Well,
claiming it. TM.
no, you need to, because that is just like when people are talking about the ladders and ascensions and value stacks. It's perfect. It's the digital thud factor because that's all it is.
It is. Yeah.
Again, if it's like basically, look, uh, if you get in now for 10 people, I will give you an hour of my time. But that's not a thud factor. That's just a real thing, maybe. But that's a whole other. Is that me ringing or you ringing?
That's the office line, which barely ever rings, but it
You
just
have
so
a
happens.
you have a phone in the office that rings.
That's a
Oh my!
like a real phone. Can you believe it?
Yeah. Didn't Dan Kennedy used to just like you had to fax him if you wanted to do anything? It's
Yeah,
probably
he doesn't have he still doesn't
no.
have anything on his
Send me
you
a
know
fax
email.
again. Here we go. Does he use any technology? No, it's a fax. That's the technology. Anyhow, huh?
Yeah.
What are we talking about again? Copy.
Yeah, well, we went through quite a few questions back and forth of great questions. I think that is important not only for copy but for all the conversations of understanding who your dream clients are. I'm glad that you're here to see this. If you are watching live, hashtag live, let us know. Give us a thumbs up or heart or anything like that if you like the show. If you're watching on the replay, hashtag replay. That would be amazing. And I'm gonna actually invite you into the Facebook group if you'd like to carry on conversations like this, because we're always in there every day. Amazing humans in there. It's not this vast amount of just nobody's in there. There's great people communicating. There is it's a small group, an intimate group of heart-centered people. If you're on a mission to serve the world, this is the perfect place for you to come. We invite you to come into that.
And just to add to that, Joey, if you want to truly become part of a tribe that Joey has curated and join a group of heart centered marketers and ask any question about anything marketing, mindset, sales, I don't care what it is. Joey's got the answer, or he'll go find the answer. He'll plug his brain into Notion and he'll download the answer that has been so honed to give you what you need to move on. That's why you join that group. And there's no sales and there's no offers and there's no funnels. From time to time, Joey will mention, oh, by the way, I'm doing my next thingy. That's it.
100%.
No
Yeah.
funnels, no opt-ins to get a thingy. Nobody's smart. Just go do it. And Jeffrey says, I know we as humans love incentives. How do you best use incentives? Maybe this is another class. And I think this is Joey because we're at the top of the hour now. And
Yeah, incentives, but a quick answer to this, though, Jeffrey, is all the stuff we've already talked about. Incentives doesn't have to necessarily mean discounts or things like that. An incentive is when you're talking to the dream client on their level of frustration and the crisis. The incentive, here's a big example, an incentive for someone who's way overweight and the doctor says, if you don't start, exercising tomorrow, you'll be dead in a week. That's an incentive. That has nothing to do with a discount. It has nothing to do with anything else except for I don't want to die. And I'm not saying say that in your copy or what you're talking about, but what's the incentive for them to work with you and deal with your program? And again, we can open this up for another conversation in another time, but it's more of why are they looking for you? Why are they in the race? And are you meeting them at the right point of the crisis? That's why I call it the crisis. Because it's not just a nice to have. I don't need to incentivize anybody. By the time they get to me, they're in a crisis. They're like, I need to do this. Can you help me? Yes. So I don't need to incentivize anybody. And I think that's the easiest way to run a dream life and a dream business with dream clients, because they don't need to be incentivized. But we can also open this up for discussion next week, because this is a great conversation.
It is a great conversation. Jeffrey, thank you for bringing it up. And gosh, Melissa and Sandro and Meadow and Lorna and everyone else that joined us tonight. Wow, what a great, wait a second, when did we not have a really good call? Because it's not about us, it's about our incredible tribe that's been curated.
100%.
And a lot of, again, anyway, yeah, it's been a joy and a pleasure, a treat and an honor as always, Joey.
Thank you for being here, my friend. As always, I appreciate you, and I appreciate you for watching us. Thank you for being here. We will see you next week for another show, Marketing Made Easy.